This is the Recycling, Scrap Metal, Commodities, and Economic Report, April 14, 2025. U.S. weekly raw steel production fell slightly to 1.697 million tons, down 2.4% from last year and down 1.4% year to date. Tariff-driven layoffs in automotive are hurting steel demand. WTI crude oil price fell to $61.50 a barrel, but the U.S. may block Iranian oil, so less supplies brings higher prices. Also, the U.S.-China trade dispute is weighing on demand. U.S. weekly crude oil production fell slightly to 13.458 million barrels per day, staying in a tight range since December's record high, and that's after years of increases. The average price needed for profit in the U.S. is about $62 a barrel. Some areas in Texas are as low as $45 a barrel. The administration target is to sell for $50 a barrel, which is great and would lower inflation, but seems problematic if $60 a barrel is the average needed to make a profit. The U.S. weekly oil rig count fell to 480, staying in a tight range as oil companies remain cautious due to the lower prices. Scrap steel number one HMS composite price fell to $362.33 a gross ton, but may fall more in April on slow demand and good supply. Hot rolled coil steel price rose slightly to $46.90 a hundredweight, which is $9.38 a ton. This was on slowing demand due to steel increases in prices due to the tariffs. Higher priced steel in the U.S. is now hurting exports of U.S. products that have steel. Copper price rose to $4.55 a pound, up from a 3-month low this week. The 90-day tariff pause helped the mood, as U.S. copper tariffs are still possible. The new phone, chip, and computer tariff exemptions this weekend have also been helpful. Aluminum price rose to $1.09 a pound, which is $24.02 a metric ton, near an 8-month low as the global trade war is hurting manufacturing. U.S. 10-year Treasury note yield. Importantly, mortgages and other corporate borrowing is linked to the 10-year Treasury note. The administration had been doing very well on targeting the lowering of this note, but it surged last week as investors sold U.S. bonds due to their concern about U.S. economic stability. The Atlantic Federal Reserve GDP now forecast for Q1 2025 improved to negative 2.4%, and adjusted for gold imports and exports, it's negative 0.3%. This was as consumer spending was strong, but is now slowing. University of Michigan April consumer sentiment plunged to 50.8, the lowest since June 2022, but near 1981's low 44 years ago. This was on concerns over the trade war and increased inflation as sentiment around current and future expectations fell. U.S. April U of M 1 year ahead inflation expectation rose for the 5th straight month to 6.7%, the steepest since 1981, again 44 years ago. The 5-year outlook accelerated to 4.4%, also the highest in 44 years. The U.S. Federal Reserve finds this inflation expectation very concerning. U.S. March producer, as in wholesale prices, fell to 2.7% versus last year and actually dropped month over month. This was on a sharp drop in energy costs. Unless there is a major tariff change, all expect higher prices in the coming months. Wall Street's Dow Jones Industrial Average jumped 1,898 points to 40,213, still down 5.1% year to date. It was a turbulent week last week, with a positive Friday on hopes of a China-U.S. deal. The week saw the increased bond rates we just talked about, crashing consumer confidence, and ended with a phone and computer exemption from Chinese tariffs. This is Greg Brown. As always, feel free to call or email me with any questions, and we hope all have a safe and profitable week.